Hey, Kay.
Hi, Trish. How are you today?
I am good, honey. Well, everybody, this is a fresh new episode of What I Know So Far with myself, Trish Sir, and the gorgeous Karen Mills. How excited are we to be here today?
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for today because my dear friend, who you have not met yet, but you know her because she's a fellow comedian, but I have done numerous shows with Karen Morgan. We've done shows together, and she is just an angel and so funny all over social media. So I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with what she's done, but she was in one of the funniest moms on Nick at Night. She's recently, just a few months ago, was on The Talk. And she's a rabid Georgia Bulldog fan.
I mean, I know what that's like, but she's just so, if you haven't seen Karen Morgan, y'all, on social, please look her up. Karen Morgan. I think she's Karen Morgan Comedy at some things, but no matter what, you'll find her. She's absolutely brilliant. I feel like I know her because of social. So I can because of you, because you have talked so much about how much of an angel she is. So I'm so excited to talk to her today.
So funny, and used to be a lawyer. So she just has a great story. So I can't wait to get into it.
Me neither. So without further ado, y'all, please enjoy this episode. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, and review What I Know So Far wherever you listen to your podcast. It means a whole lot to us, and that's how we can keep bringing you some fresh new guests, which we love. So without further ado, the fabulous
Karen Morgan. Okay, girls, I am so excited for this episode because I am introducing to my dear friend Trish, my other dear friend Karen Morgan, and I love her so much, and I'm so excited that she took the time to come on our podcast. How you doing, Karen?
I am good. Hey, Karen. Hey, Trish.
Hi, Karen. Hi. You're like urban legend. You're like Snuffleupagus to Big Bird. I know you exist, but I didn't know. And now real life.
I'm up here in the woods of Maine, just hiding like Bigfoot.
Okay, talk me through that. Can we just tackle that bear? What made are you from Maine?
Do I sound like I'm from Maine?
Does her background look like she's from Maine?
Yeah, I saw the big Jeep. For folks that don't know, if you're listening and not watching, she has a University of Georgia championship logo in her background, and it is magical. My husband, Jace Venture, my husband's from Rome, Georgia, Karen.
Oh, and
okay, all things. He's all things Georgia, everything. So
well,
I understand.
Okay,
so you are not from Maine?
No, I'm from Athens, Georgia. I was born and raised in Athens.
You're from the epicenter.
I'm from God's country. I am from there. I was born and raised there, and went to school there because my daddy went to school there. So I was born and raised there, went to school there, and then met my husband. And moved to Maine much years later. So
okay, so we're going to unpack all this because if y'all don't know Karen Morgan, just get on any form of social media and put in her name, and you're going to snort laugh.
And you'll be, oh God, she's there again. Good God.
She's a wonderful comedian, and we have done numerous shows together called The Karen Show.
Yes,
and when Trish talks about how I'm not a Karen because I'm, kind.
Yes.
Let me tell you, Karen Morgan I am a Karen compared to Karen Morgan.
Oh, no. It's the battle of the sweetness.
Oh,
it's a sweet off.
She is the kindest person.
No, and you are too. I mean, which is why we travel well together when we do our shows together. So the irony of the show, the Karens, is that we're nice Karens. We're just nice people. So.
That's what makes it so magical. Because when she told me y'all were doing that, I was like, that is genius. Genius.
And we do a little quiz at the beginning of it, and we will read. Give an example, Karen. It's in your head better than it is mine.
The woman who was walking her dog in Central Park and called the police on that man.
Yes,
and we say, "Is she a Karen?" And then they all go, "Yes," and we're like, "No, her name is Amy.
Amy,
no,
she's an Amy.
Her name's Amy." And so all of these people
Get
that
those
do these
Amy's.
horrible things, Barbecue Becky, whose real name was something else that we still couldn't remember. Barbecue Becky was somebody else. Anyway.
She feels like a
was
Jennifer.
Yeah, but she was no Karen, and everybody that's been called a Karen, not one, was actually named Karen.
Yeah.
Do we know the origin story of Karen? Do we genuinely know who decided?
I researched it because I was horrified when it started happening. It's something to do with our name and our age group was a very popular name for white women born around 1960, 2 to 65, 66. So that's why the name stuck.
Get out of town.
Yeah.
That's
and
what
it's like this person, this age, with this demographic, acts that way and calls the manager and does all the things.
Yeah. So
what are we going to call the overly woke generation? They're a bunch of Zoes.
I don't know. I don't know. I think, it's, I just ignore it. Karen has you've got great material about it, which I think is wonderful, but I just kind of ignore it. Someday it'll go away. And if it doesn't, I don't care. It doesn't apply to me. So
That's right. That's
exactly
right.
Yeah.
See, I love everything about that.
As what I say on stage, we're Southern Karens, which means even if we asked to see the manager, we would apologize for it.
But it's so true.
Yeah,
it is so true. That's what I say to everybody, because Karen's I've never been around a human being that's more loving. Karen I always say Karen's actually Karen, Caring. She's Karen.
Yes.
She's so caring. And but as a Southerner, I dropped the G, so it's Karen. And she's so caring and loves everybody. And even when we go, Karen Morgan, anytime that you've gone out late with Karen after a show, and it's an Applebee's and that's all that's open, and Karen's like, Lord, that girl's probably on her second shift. She's tired. I don't want to bother her for more ketchup. I'm fine.
That's Karen Morgan. That is Karen Morgan.
So I think we got to change our name, show name to Caring with a G.
Yeah, Karen. The Karen Karens.
It is. It's the battle of the niceness. But but anyway, beyond that, we have a good time together, and we're really not that nice, are we, Karen? Even though we are, but we're not.
What would you think you're because I've been around you a lot.
There's a difference between being kind and being nice.
Yeah.
I agree with
kind.
that. You're extremely kind.
You're all kind.
Yeah, everybody's kind. Yeah.
Nice sometimes feels like it's not sincere to me.
I feel that
the Southern
I feel
nice.
that too. Yes, Southern nice or cute. When people say, "Oh, they're cute," I always think that's like
that's so sweet.
It's just said with just enough vinegar that you're like,
like there's some inner monologue beyond what you're really saying.
That's like, right. I want to know. I want to deep dive Karen Morgan. Karen Morgan, if you're from Athens, because we just did an episode, our last episode that aired. We talked about how we got into comedy, but I'd love to know: did you always know you were going to do stand up?
Oh God, no, absolutely not. Beyond no, I didn't start doing stand up till I was 40. So I practiced law for many years, and then I had babies. And then comedy came mostly after the babies. I always loved watching comedy. Like I've always, I had a good sense of humor and enjoyed watching comedy, but never thought I would actually do it. And certainly never thought I'd still be doing it to this day.
What kind of law did you practice?
I was medical malpractice and criminal defense.
Well, that's not stressful.
No, there's no stress. There's no stress at all in either of those things. And which is why when I had 3 kids, I went back to practicing after my first child was born. And then when my daughter was born, my second, I said, you know what? I can't do both of these well. And I think that my kids probably need to be priority. So, and after that, I was kind of happy. I'm like, murderers, my children, pick one,
But law, I think law is kind of like the toughest version of stand up.
It is, but what? Stand up is harder. People do ask me that. I stand up. There's stuff involving stand up that's harder than practicing law. Once you get the basis of law school and the basics down of the actual knowing the law. The trial part, it's not like you're standing doing an hour of comedy without notes in a notebook and
I didn't think about that.
there's people helping, there's a lot more involved. It's not just you by yourself there. And that to me is the biggest difference in stand up and why it's a little bit harder. It's just you fall or fly, whichever one you want to do, but it's you by yourself. So
thank you for making what we have all chosen sound somewhat elevated in intelligence. I don't have a law degree saying that, but I love the way you're like, listen, this is much tougher.
It is.
It is. But I can see what you're saying because you don't get second chances. You can't reference notes.
Right.
You know, I mean,
you don't have an assistant handing you papers and helping you. Yeah.
Exactly.
And so what was the moment? 3 babies. Talk to me about that. They're in school. They're done with school. Like, what was the point where you were like, I think I'm going to get up on an open mic tonight? Or like, what was that like?
None of them were in school. They were all babies. Like, they were 2, 3, and 4. Mac was 2 when I started. So, and a friend of mine was taking a workshop, at the local comedy club. And I'm like, that sounds like a fun night out. Like, I literally wanted to get out of my house for one night a week. That was truly what it was. And so I didn't even tell Scott, my husband, I didn't even tell him what I was doing. I'm like, I'm going to see some friends. Like, I never told him what I was even doing.
I'm going over to Bible study. See you later.
I've got cooking class now. I'll be back. So he didn't have time to ask because then he had the 3. He was home with the 3 of them by himself. He didn't have time to ask me where I was going. So anyway, it worked out great, and the timing just happened. And Karen, I'm sorry, you've heard all these things, but
no,
Nick at Night was having a search for the funniest mom in America when I finished my stand-up workshop. And my teacher said, hey, they're having this contest. And at the time, because my kids were all babies in, diapers and bottles, all my stuff was very mommy oriented. So
sure,
he sent my tape into the Nick at Night thing. And then I ended up being a finalist in that. So that's how it started.
I mean, so done practicing law. Let's say you're 5 years removed, 6 years removed from law at that point?
Well, actually not, because my 2 years. 2 years. Yeah.
2 years removed from law.
Yeah.
And hard left, hold my beer. I'm going to go.
I'm going to do comedy.
Yeah.
I really didn't plan on doing it. Like, I didn't go, I'm going to do this as a second career. It was more like, this is fun. This is funner than right now on Monday night staying home. I need a break. And then the other thing happened and I was like, well, this is actually kind of cool. And so it was more like that. I didn't go into it with that intention, but came out of it going, oh, I kind of like this.
Well, in school, did you have, were you funny? Did you do things in school that you had like a comedy?
Like, were you in improv? Were you in theater?
No, but
I'm mystified by you, Karen Morgan. This is fascinating.
Well, and Karen talks on stage about being an introvert. She is.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not going to be the class clown. I'm sure she is the very studious one in class, and nobody would ever know. But she just has a great take on things and finds.
But let me ask this, because I'm an extroverted introvert. I'm an introvert. I know a lot of people would probably think the latter, but I really am introverted.
Yeah.
Do you feel you are, Karen?
Oh,
Morgan?
absolutely. No, extroverted introvert is definitely the label for me.
Karen Mills, how about you?
Yeah.
I used to be an extrovert, but since going into comedy, I'm more of an extroverted introvert because, once you do your stage thing, then you want to go and not go be the life of the party. I want somebody else to be the life of the party if I'm out.
100%.
I've had my time.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes me feel better because I thought just maybe it was part of like who I have become, like my makeup, but it makes me feel much better because I don't usually ask that question. But that makes me feel better because I started going, man, what's happened to me that I've become like, I don't, like you said beautifully, I don't have to have a spotlight on me. Y'all do you. lovely.
Right.
Because we do this, you have to kind of go back on your power pad and charge back up.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
That battery,
That's exactly.
the battery is important.
A lot of times my battery will be getting really low and I want to just belly crawl out of somewhere and go crawl back on my pad.
Is that not the truth?
Yeah.
Isn't that the truth? So I'm fascinated by this. Karen Morgan, when you had the moment that you were like, hey, not only loving it, right, but then and not that it was your original intention to like, I'm going to go make this my career. When did you have, what was the moment for you that you went, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. Like this, I'm loving this enough that I'm going to make a living at it.
Do something. Well, what I ended up doing was, at the time I was finishing, that's when Blue Collar Comedy Tour was so hot, so big at the time. And so we finished this Nick at Night thing. And I was like, there should be a Nick at Night tour. I mean, there should be a Blue Collar Comedy Tour for moms. Wouldn't that be fun if we did that? So I ended up sort of, again, I didn't know what I was doing. Like, the best thing is when you don't know what you're doing, you just pretend like you know. And I had no idea what I was doing. But
fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Well, and you're bolder when you don't know. I mean, that's what we just talked about in a previous episode. A lot of times you're bolder with your choices because you don't know to be afraid.
Yeah, that's so true.
What pile of poo you're about to get in. You're very happy about it. Yeah, so I ended up touring for like 5 years doing the stuff. I know, Karen, y'all were doing Southern Fried Chicks, and we were kind of on the same kind of circuit of the performing arts centers and that sort of thing. And so that's kind of when I kind of enjoyed the production part of it. I like the production part. We're dealing with the sound cues and the lights, all those kind of things. I'm a little bit nerdy about that stuff.
Well, and let me back up just real quick to tell you that I met Karen because I was contacted to do the Nantucket Comedy Festival, and she was one of the producers of that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that's how we met, was she was producing that comedy festival.
I remember when you went and did that, Kate.
Yeah. And so she's just so smart. That's what I always say when we do our show together. She's the smart Karen. I mean, she can do, and Trish the same way. I mean, can do all aspects of everything. And I'm just like, please just let me get on stage and be funny. Don't make me do anything.
But I'm certainly not legal bright, but I will say I'm like Karen Morgan in the sense that I love the technical, I love a logistic. Yeah. So I like going, okay, how can we do this? And how can I make everybody better doing this? Because sometimes you see the holes. For me, I see the holes where I'm like, that could be better. And that's when I started like controlling on our end, being able to show up and go, here's the USB with all our pre-show music, post-show music. Because you'd walk in, and Karen and I were talking about the other day, and I couldn't get my breath because I just forgot we had done a show, Country Cool, and we normally had our music, and this soundboard in this Performing Arts Center was so old. Karen Morgan, oh Lord, it was so old that they were like, we can't patch in with this, like we don't have USB technology. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, you don't got you a CD? I'm like, no, sir, I don't have a CD. No. And the guy one goes, well, I'll go get what's in my car. And I was like, get in your car. I was like, what? Because I was just so proud of like how I'd curated pre-show, post-show, our walk-up. I had the announcement. All that went in the booger bin. Yeah. And this man, Karen Morgan, he went out and brought in love ballads of the 80s. And we had to fly blind. And I was like, Lord, what is he going to bring us up to? And the order of the show was me, then Karen Mills, then Leanne Morgan. So the way the music he chose to bring us up, he brought me up blind, cold. Karen ran and at least did Voice of God to announce me. Thank the Lord. Like she did it from backstage, or it'd have been like, hey, it's Dwight. These ladies going to tell some jokes. Like it was that. And so Karen at least saved that part. And he brings me up to Bonnie Tyler's Total Eclipse of the Heart. And I have to walk out on stage to turn around. And I was just like,
you just do a little dance while you're out there.
I just did circles. I turned around every time she said it till I got to the mic and stood there blindly, at least to make it fun. Yeah. And then I'm the one that brings up Karen. So there was nobody to run up to the sound booth to cuss him. Yeah. So Karen has to come out to, oh Lord, Kay, I get it wrong every time. It's Heart, but it wasn't Barracuda. At least that'd have been good.
Yeah.
It was the that horrid, that love ballad from Heart.
Yeah.
That's just like,
Oh, the slow one. The
yes,
slow,
you're so
slow.
tore up.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like alone, like that, and just
Yeah. It's alone.
is it alone? Yeah, it was like and I was like, what? Karen could have been more aggravated, and I just thought the whole time, I have to control music. I need it and from that moment on, I was cured.
Yeah.
And had it in CD, USB. I even had an old iPod they could plug in, and because I was petrified of that moment again. So I appreciate your level of nerding.
All this stuff. We used to burn a CD and take it with us. We would burn a CD, and then at some point that stopped. But every now and then there's some venue that doesn't have it. And I was at, where were we? I forget where it was. It was me and Nancy, but this was not more recently, because it was after you should be burning a CD.
That's what I was. This happened after. This happened after
post CD era.
Yes,
but they didn't. They only had CDs, and so I said, "Well, how many do you have? Show me what you got." And all they had was the Beatles. And
I'm taking the Beatles,
and I'm like, "Well, okay, that's what we're going to do. I guess this is where What do you do? It's either no music or the Beatles,
Thank you. No music or love ballads from the 80s from Dwight's F-150, 1988 F-150 Outback. It was all on brand.
Yay.
Yay. What do you think has been the thing for you that has kept you in comedy?
Writing. Writing is, to me, the crux of it all, like the writing process. And maybe it's because I come from a legal background of, a lot of writing and wordsmithing, and that's where the writing keeps me interested. It's certainly not the travel. It's certainly not.
No.
Not the travel. I do enjoy being on stage when I'm on stage. I'm like, my battery gets drained, and when I'm off. But the writing is really what keeps me going. I'm still fascinated by the writing part of this whole thing.
And that's what, is so brilliant about her bits. It's just so well crafted.
Yes.
And it's not, up there doing backflips or, the writing is so good, and it just suits your personality and your delivery so well, which is lower keyed.
Yeah.
But the beauty's in the words. And that's so evident. And the generational stuff you do is, I was telling Trish the other day that, and you could tell the bit, but the line about the battle plans, I think it's just so fun.
I've watched that joke at nauseum. Please, if I would say, we're just going to take to go see it, but it's probably better if you say it. But it is so true and so brilliant, because it's terrifying. It's terrifying.
It's very terrifying.
But it just really captures, the essence of the generations.
Yeah.
And you, so good.
The funniest thing was when I first posted that bit, when I wrote it, and it's been a while, the bit has grown. It's now, I think the whole thing is 40 minutes long. I've got so many, things that but when I first started.
I just want to take a pause for a hot minute for people not listening to us right now that aren't comedians, that don't understand what Karen Morgan just said. She took a joke that was, let's say it's 3.5 minutes, the OG joke, maybe 2, the chunk, and has created 40 minutes. That's better than half of a show, y'all. I just want you to understand what she just said. That is how her brain works. And that in itself.
That's how disturbed she is.
No, that's amazing. Do you churn out like a new hour of comedy? Like what is your cycle for you? Because it's a booger.
It's not a whole hour turnover, because the generations thing is more like these sandwiched pieces, like you're jacking your house up. So, I started with a little thing on the ground and a little double wide, and I've jacked this house up. But pieces in this house are old, so it's not turning the whole thing over. But
that you've morphed it into 40 minutes is magic.
Well, because every time I write something, and a lot of time too, it's people comments on social media. I'm like, oh, I forgot that. Let me go back and revisit that. Or when I was home doing the album, I had the funniest thing, I talk about the mothers in the station wagon wagons in our carpool growing up. And when I recorded my album in Athens, the mothers who drove the station wagons were in the audience.
Oh, awesome.
And so several of them came up. Did you remember so-and-so? And I'm like, oh, no, ma'am. Let me write that down.
Thank you. Don't you love those ladies that come out of the dang woodwork and remind you of everybody? You're like, my apologies.
I'm sorry. But yeah, so it has grown, and so I slowly turn over things. I think the things I turn over the fastest right now is the chunk right before generations, because I get bored with that chunk. Like I've got the little intro chunk that kind of stays the same. And then there's that changing out chunk in the middle. And then generations comes at the end. So that middle part gets changed out quicker.
That's such a gift. Yeah. I was just talking to a dear friend of mine, Josh Wolf, a comedian. We've been doing it since Christ was a child as well. And we were talking about the other day, and I want to ask this because I haven't asked Karen Mills this yet either, but we were talking about when you are doing a show and you have to do a bit that it's old, but it's almost like greatest hits. I wonder if Lionel Richie feels this way when he sings Hello. Yeah. It's like, do you ever have that moment when it's something that you're like, I'm so tired of telling this joke? Do you have, I know, I say it respectfully because we're lucky enough to have material from that long, but do you ever feel that way?
Yeah. I think we all do. I just get so excited when I have something new. That the old stuff's like, I gotta do this old thing to get to this new thing, but the new stuff is the exciting part. So, but I do get to the point like, I don't want to do this one again, but it's the greatest hits, people want to hear it sometimes. So,
I think we
Karen,
all go through
that.
Yeah, we all go through that. And it's such a, particularly with social media, it's such a balancing act this has been put out now. So people are familiar with it. So do I keep it? Do I lose it? Do I replace it? And then the second that you don't do something, then people say,
they're tore up.
They're just like, that's like
you're in the parking lot at the start of it.
Exactly. The bit I do on the movie Now, I didn't do it. It's an old movie, didn't do it. And so then after the show, a woman accosts me in the parking lot and goes, I brought 15 people to hear you do Nell and you didn't do it. So I'm standing in the parking lot for these 15 people going, oh, time, oh, what we learned. So what do you do,
Oh my, Karen, I did not know that.
I think and Karen, I want you to know I've shared that story with people because it makes me laugh so hard.
And also Karen's sweetheart that she'd stand in the parking lot.
That I do it. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I don't even think I'd have done it. I think I'd have went, it's online.
I'd have been like, I'll airdrop you the bit. Here it is. Like,
I put my shoes in a bag right now. I can't talk anymore.
Yeah, my battery was low, but I had enough left to do the bit. So, oh, that's so funny. But it is. I mean, you just never know. Is it what's going to wear people out and think, don't you have anything new? Or else they go, well, why didn't you do this? So it's just,
it is.
It's
and I was wondering because I would love to get to the level. Maybe it's just, I'm just not as prolific when it comes to writing. Like something will come to me, I'll write it down. I always say when a thought comes, if I don't write it down on whatever's around, thank God we have notes on our phone anymore. But if I don't write it down, it's like, to me, it's like a train. And if you don't catch it, you missed your train.
Oh yeah. And my brain won't remember. I mean, I thought one fun yesterday and it was really good. Have no clue what it was.
Same. Oh Lord, Karen Morgan, you're making me feel so much better because somebody that writes like you, I'll be like, maybe if I go back to the frozen food section at Whole Foods, it'll trigger it because that's where I remember it.
Well, but Karen does it the way you're supposed to do it. I do not. But she sits down and writes. She sits and works on her. I wait for inspiration. I write on the go. And I'm sure you do that too. But she also commits to sitting and writing. And we'd all be better comics if we did that.
Well, I wish I did it as often as you think I do, but I do. I have to compartmentalize. I don't know if it's the ADHD brain or I don't know what it is, but I have to say, I'm going to write today. But I don't get up every morning and go at 10 o'clock, I'm writing, like it's not that structured. But when I do get in a mode, usually Karen, it's at the lake. It's usually, it's when I'm truly away from my computer and the laundry and all the stuff. If I'm up at the lake, I take a notebook and a pen and,
well, water always makes me smarter and happier and more creative.
Yeah.
So I can understand that completely.
I do too.
Yeah. And to take a hard ride here, we've talked a lot about the Olympics recently, and let me tell you, Karen Morgan does get, because I said I could never get, I could have done the basketball discipline, but I could never do the swimming discipline where I'm up and in a pool at 5 a.m. Karen Morgan does it all the time still. She's a triathlete. She's a triathlete. She's in the water at 5 a.m.
Y'all, for every second I'm getting to know Karen Morgan, I am going rethinking my life choices more and more.
Good God, no. Good Lord, no. Don't use me as an example of anything.
I'm a trial lawyer for criminal defense. I've also, just as a side gig, created a career in comedy. And did I mention for my hobby, I've chosen
I'm a triathlete. Yeah.
Like my brain. Okay. So walk me through that. Were you like, these kids are on my nerves. I know what I'll do. I'll become a triathlete.
Well, I did. This summer's been more swimming. Like the other summers were all three, but this summer I really decided to, because we live in Maine, I discovered open water swimming. So like last weekend we did the Nubble. I'll have to send you all the pictures, but we did the Nubble challenge last weekend where we swim around it was hard, y'all. You swim around a lighthouse and you go out there and
how far is that, Karen Morgan?
That one was like 3 miles. So it was
in an open ocean.
So at one point, and I took my GoPro. This is my new thing, Karen Mills. I have a GoPro now that I can swim with. So my whole thing is I'm going to take my GoPro with me to make content. This is how sad we are for content. I'm like, I'm going to take my camera. I can make posts with it. I'm going to make a post. So
wait, were you holding it in your hand swimming?
No, I couldn't swim I couldn't hold it and swim the whole time.
Okay.
But I floated it. Yeah, I'll have to send y'all a picture. I need to make content about this because it's hilarious. So when you do open water swimming, you wear a swim buoy. It's really reflective. It's bright color. You wear it around you have a belt, and it's like a blow up, it's like those old swim bubbles we used to have.
Okay. So that they know where you're at, and at all times, God forbid, something happens.
If something happens, you've got something to hang on to. So the GoPro floats, the thing I got for the GoPro, but I put it behind me the first day and I kept kicking it. So I got a second one. So I tied a second bubble to that one. So everybody's calling me Double Bubble. Here comes Double Bubble. So I have Bubble GoPro. And then every now and then I would just stop and just like take videos of my friends and stuff and just like, here's the lighthouse. And I have to learn it. This is another geek thing that I'd like to learn and be better at, but I'm not yet. So. Anyway, but the swimming is what I do most.
But talk to me about this. When did becoming a triathlete, or were you always one? When did that, in the order of lawyer? Oh, by the way, I'm going to go be a comedian. Oh, I know I don't have enough challenging things in my life. I think I might become a triathlete.
This is what happens when you live in Maine, though. There's fewer distractions, and there's a lot of people that are out there doing all this stuff. I mean, we have and people our age and older that are doing it. I'm like, ooh, I better keep up. I'm gonna go out with these people, and I've just have made really good friends that do it. So that's kind of But I didn't start doing triathlons until like the kids were probably middle school, maybe when I started, but.
I would shy away from friends who did that.
Karen's like, nice meeting y'all.
Just to make sure I didn't get pulled in. Yeah. But the common thread here with Karen Morgan is discipline. I mean, a trial lawyer, 100%. A comedian, a triathlete. I mean, writing the way she does. That's discipline.
Karen, do you have
it's
siblings?
Just blind ignorance that I just get up and say, what can I do? Like, don't know how hard things are. Just don't know. Don't research. Just go.
If you don't know, then you just go do it. That's
Don't
actually
research
kind of
how many sharks are underneath you when you're
no,
swimming that
ma'am.
race.
That was the first. When you said open ocean, I was like, nay. I love to paddleboard, and I give a 30-minute speech when I launch out in Malibu because I know that's where the great whites have their babies.
Yeah.
And I give a 30-minute speech on that board, going, "I love y'all. I give to Surf Rider. I want everybody to do well. Please stay away from me. I don't want to hurt you." Like,
Do you
I'm
wear
out there.
a shark bands when you do it? Do you have a shark bands?
I don't know what a shark band is. What is a shark band?
Okay, so
Karen Moore?
you need to have, if there are that many sharks when you're paddling, you should get one. They're little. It goes on your ankle. It looks like a watch, but it's a big magnet. And
Okay.
it's supposed to keep the sharks away. I don't know. I haven't.
Does it
tried
work if you're out of the water? Because technically, in paddleboarding, I'm never in the water. I'm always above it.
But let's just say you're on your paddleboard and you fell in, and there's sharks there. It might be helpful.
They'd be like, "Ow, this hurts my ears."
Yeah, is that what it's doing? Sending out something
a signal of like, "Get away, girl."
Yeah, so for some reason they don't like the magnets. So my kids surf. My boys surf, so they wear them when they surf.
Okay, well, I'm going to be texting you after the show to find out where I'm getting this because I had no idea, and how no one has told me that as much as I'm out in that water has worried me to death now. And I'm like, if it's somebody trying to get me eaten.
And let me just say too, and then I'm gonna get off the fangirl thing with Karen Morgan, but
don't get off. I love this.
But in addition to all the other things she's done so well, she has raised wonderful kids.
Oh, thank you.
I mean,
that's my thank you.
I'm not kidding.
Talk to me about these babies.
Well,
are they all at UGA? Did they all go to Georgia?
No,
Let's hear that.
No, sadly, no. Well, my older two, all of my kids, because we live in Maine, were ski racers in high school. So still, that's one of the most foreign things to me, having grown up in Georgia and then raising my kids in Maine, is that you can get a high school letter in skiing.
Yeah, that's real.
That's still the craziest thing to me. But they were all really good ski racers. And so my oldest skied in college, and then my daughter stopped skiing when she got to college, and then my youngest, so my older two went to St. Lawrence University, which is way upstate New York, almost to Ottawa, Canada, so like way up north. And then my youngest, who's got one more year left, we hope 1 year left, and then he's at College of Charleston. So
it went the completely other direction.
Yeah, went the other direction.
But I was encouraging. I wanted this one Southern school, and so
good job, Mom.
Yeah,
you got one in there.
Yeah.
And your oldest is now doing what?
He is a boat captain. So he is. He's both of the boys have been on Nantucket all summer, and Axel is a boat captain, and he does charter fishing stuff. And then Mac has been working at Cisco Breweries.
Look at her. She's repping. Mom's repping.
Cisco. So he's got 1 more year of college left. So he had a good, fun summer. What 22-year-old boy would not want to work at a brewery where everybody comes to while you're out there?
Yeah, the place to be.
So,
but she so encourages them to find their own way to do what they love. She's not one of these moms that wants them living her dream.
Yeah.
Yes, well,
we know some of them. We do.
Yeah.
So anyway,
and my daughter's great. She's out of school, but she's working in Maine, so she's got her first big girl job. So she's doing that. She's doing social media and communications for a nonprofit here in Maine. So it's fun. We trade social media. How do you do this on TikTok? How do you make, it's kind of fun because we share video, advice to each other. It's kind of cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
So talk to me about how y'all decided on Maine. That's what I want to know. Why Maine was like.
My husband was already here. So when I met him on our blind date, he grew up in Boston, but he went to college at Bates University, or is it Bates College, Bates here in Maine. And when he graduated from Bates, he just stayed. He didn't go back to Boston. So he's in real estate and construction and was building my aunt and uncle's house up here. So my aunt for 2 years tried to set me up with him. And for 2 years, I kept saying that's the most saddest thing. Anybody would have to go all the way to Maine to have a date. And I did. But I ended up doing it, and then I stayed. I really never expected to stay. I was like, I'll just pretend to like it, and then I'll make him move back down, and then I stayed.
And how, I was going to ask you, because being that that's a true, Athens is a true Southern woman. Like, if you don't know the South, y'all, Athens, Georgia is dead solid middle as you can get to be a authentically true Southern woman. How have you dealt with Maine winters, Karen Morgan?
Layers. The first when I moved up in April. I moved Masters weekend. So I moved. Yeah. It's beautiful in Augusta National. Here's the azaleas. Here's the, blah, blah, blah. And I moved into my husband's apartment and it is snowing really hard outside the window. And I'm like, oh my God, this is an error. And
this is an error.
It's a total error. So I didn't have winter till around October, my husband said, you got to have some proper shoes. And so we went to Ella Bean and got the boots and I still have this jacket. I got the National Park jacket that looks like the kid on, Christmas Story. It's just, but my first law appearance, this was the story that I tell that made me love Maine the most. I moved up. It was in April. I had to go do a hearing up in Augusta. And I got up on that Monday or whenever it was, and it was snowing. And I said, it was snowing really hard. And I told my husband, I'm like, well, they won't have court today, right? He just died laughing. He goes, no, we have things now, you have to go. And not everything closes because you get a little snow. So I was like, well, what do I do? Like I had little high heel pumps and the pantyhose and my wool suit, all that. And so he's like, well, you can't wear those shoes in the snow. And so I borrowed his LL Bean boots that were too big, but he said, you just wear these and then you take your shoes in your pocketbook or in your briefcase. So I put my shoes in my briefcase and then I drove my Honda Accord 2 miles an hour into Augusta, Maine from where we lived. And I got out. And so because I was driving so slow, I was almost late. And then I got out of the car, I scooted in the boots. And then I looked down to get my shoes out of my briefcase, y'all, and one of them had fallen out between the car and the courtroom. And I didn't have time. I'm like, oh, well, I can do this in 2 boots that are too big for me, or I can do this in 1 shoe that fits me and just maybe put it behind me. I didn't know. I was like, what do I do? So I ended up just saying, screw it. I'm just going to wear the boots. I'm going to look stupid, but at least I can stand up straight. And I went in. Everyone in that courtroom had on boots. LOB boots. Everybody. No one had on regular shoes. Everybody had on some sort of version of snow boots because that's what you do here in the wintertime, and nobody cares. Nobody cares that your shoes aren't cute. And that was when I was like, I love it here. I love it here. I love it here. No one cares.
That is awesome. That's the best story.
Yeah. So anyway, but I've learned to deal with the winters by lots of layers. And again, my kids being skiers, I've spent a lot of time as the, ski booster mom out on the slopes watching races at night. So there were nights
there's no inside. It's not like you're sitting in some little Cocoa precious lodge. You're out there.
Yeah. So layers. There was one race I had on 4 pairs of pants.
Oh,
I had tights and then joggers and then snow pants. And I was like, I have on 4 pairs of pants. I kept saying to myself, I have on 4 pairs of pants, and I was still.
You got to have a strong bladder.
Yeah, still cold.
Yeah. Still cold. Yeah,
still cold. But anyway, it's now that they're not ski racing, I don't have to be out in it all the time. I'm perfectly happy indoors.
Do you triathlete train outside in the winter?
No. Oh, no.
Okay, just check.
No, but you getting up at 5 a.m, getting in a pool.
In the pool,
below
we'll
zero. I hibernate when it's that cold. I don't do anything.
I'm with Kay. Yeah. I'm with little Kay. I will tuck in. I moved from, I've lived here in Southern California from Kentucky, Karen, since I moved in 97. I went to college at Arizona State. I hated the cold. Like anywhere that I could follow the actual tract of the sun. I kept going. I did.
Yeah.
I'm such a weather.
sun.
Yeah, I call myself a weather weenie because anytime I don't fake it. I just went to Utah to see one of my dear friends who she lives in Heber City, just outside Park City.
Yeah.
And it had snowed. I had to drive up the mountain from Salt Lake in 11 inches of snow. And I was crying.
You went up that pass, that tall.
You know the one.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And Utah people are precious and like a Hallmark movie until it snows. They drive like buttholes when it snows. They will run you off the road.
Yeah.
And I was in the slow lane praying to the Lord, please don't take me. This can't be the end of my story. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
Snow people have a different constitution to them that sunny weather people, we are weather weenies.
Well, that one road going up there, because my older son would do boat cabining in the summer and lived in Utah in the wintertime. And so he was describing this road to me and how they closed it all the time because of avalanches, and they closed it all. And it's everybody has to get on that one road to go up there. And so,
correct.
Yeah.
And it's a dragon. If you've ever been in the Great Smoky Mountains and had to drive that wretched Karen.
Oh my God, the dragon. Have you ever done that one, Karen Morgan?
Have you ever driven the dragon? It's horrid.
There's not enough saltwater taffy in Gatlinburg to get me to go do that again.
It is akin to that. It is very much that road. And when it snows and it's icy and there's 18 wheelers and a bunch of good old boys and
no guardrails.
No guardrails. Yeah. No, thanks. No, thank you.
That's what I know. I'm like, give me sunshine. I'll take an earthquake in California any day.
Yeah. What I know so far is you will never find me on the dragon again. That's
never again. Lessons learned.
I don't know who it is, but it was a TikTok person who every winter she does these videos of she's scraping ice off her car. She lives somewhere in maybe Boston. She's like, there's no earthquakes. There's no tornadoes. Like there's no bugs. Like she's doing all the things we don't have here, but she's cussing, scraping the snow off her car. There's no alligators. There's no.
Just keep reminding yourself, sis. Yeah. It's cool.
It's fine.
I get it. I receive it. That's what I say every time I pay my taxes in California too. There's no hurricanes. That's what I just keep saying. Look what I pay for.
Look at it.
Karen, we have questions we ask everybody on the show that we call it's kind of our fast five of what I know so far. So we're just going to ask you a couple and see which ones, because you're so fast. I'm not worried about you answering any of these. One of our favorites though is always asking, toilet paper, do you put it on over or under the roll?
I sit it on the back of the commode. We don't even have one of those things on the wall. Like I sit on the back of the commode, and Scott keeps buying this stand. And I'm like, I put it out with trash day. I'm like, I don't want to stand with the toilet paper. It's a roll of toilet. I put it on the back of the commode. That's right.
We're country's cornbread, and we love you.
We're in Maine. Yeah. We're not fancy.
I love you. I know we have walk-up songs as comedians, but what would be your walk-up song as an athlete? If you were headed out, baseball, coming out at the 1,500 meter, if you were coming out as an athlete, what would be your
coming out of the bullpen?
Song? Yeah. Bullpen song, yeah.
Like a da-da-da.
Yeah, your walk-up. Like, if you're running out from the bullpen.
Yeah. How about the Eminem song? What is that?
Lose Yourself?
Yeah, I like Lose Yourself.
That's a great song.
Yeah.
Great song.
Yeah, I like that.
Ooh, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
I love everything about that.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, you're going to be the hardest person to ask this question to because you've done whatever you've set your damn mind to. But if you didn't do what you do for a living now, what would you choose to do?
It is hard. When I was growing up, because I've changed my mind. I have this at the beginning of it. I wanted to be a doctor, and then I ended up in law school. But way back in the day, I wanted to be a mailman so I could drive those Jeeps on the wrong side, and I wanted to wear those shorts. I wanted those little gray shorts that have a stripe down the side. And to have a fun hat. Like that's what I wanted to mostly it was to drive the Jeep on the wrong side.
We're going to have to take you to England.
Yeah, I was going to say, you just need to go to England.
And I think Ralph Lauren makes those shorts now.
I want the blue stripe down the shorts. Do not fit quite right. That's what I want.
Last but not least, this is the probably the sentimental one of the bunch. What do you know so far?
I know that you can't worry about what other people think. I mean, that's my biggest thing. You know, you approach 60 and it's like, you know what? I don't really care. I'm going to do stuff for me. I'm going to do stuff for, and I'm going to be kind to my friends. And, I think you don't have to be friends with everybody. You have a few close friends. Like Karen Mills is one of my dearest friends. And when you travel with somebody, you become a dear friend. It's like, you don't need a whole bunch of people. You don't need to make everybody happy. Be kind to your friends and be kind. Also, tip your waitress.
Isn't that the truth?
I think that's my biggest thing is I'm an over tipper because, as Karen said, like she's been working all day, or he or whoever. It just doesn't, be kind to the people that help you. That's it. It's not hard.
No, it's really not. And, and what you just said, nobody does really care. Yeah. And it's the reason you moved to Maine.
Yeah. No one cares.
You like people who don't know nobody cares.
No one cares. They don't have on cute shoes in the snow. Nobody cares.
That's by the way, that should be their state campaign logo. Come to Maine. We don't care.
We don't care. We don't care about your shoes.
Our logo is the way life should be. That's the state motto.
Well, pretty close to I don't care. That's the sweet version.
Yeah.
The way life should be, because we don't care.
We don't care.
I hate that we all have to get to a certain age before we realize that it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks.
Yeah.
Because, it really doesn't.
I know. Wouldn't it be sweeter
cannot please everybody.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I agree. And social media makes it harder. I'm kind of glad that I'm the age that we didn't have social media at those younger years. I'm so glad we didn't have it back then.
So grateful.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would have probably been as strong to become the things I would be had I had to do it in the face of social media.
Right.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. So I will give Gen Z all the flowers and applaud them for continuing to do what they do in the face of everything they do is in a fishbowl.
Right.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's difficult, but we're learning TikTok. We're good at it.
Don't stop us now, honey. We got all the other skills.
We can go out and dance in the driveway and embarrass everybody we know.
Oh, Lord. Nobody cares. Somebody's going to pull up a time capsule from 100 years from now and go, why in God's name what were they dancing? This makes no sense.
What were they? My favorite thing was during COVID when everybody's in lockdown and you would see the neighborhoods and you'd see this like trains of moms on go-karts and tricycles and everybody's drinking. I'm like, somebody's going to look at that going, what was happening? What were they doing?
What were they up to? Is that how you handle a world global pandemic?
Yeah. It is.
It's what we did. Karen Mills, Karen Morgan, it is an absolute joy to have you all finally together. Karen Morgan, to finally meet you. I will come to Maine.
Come to Maine, or I'll come to California and see you, or we'll meet in the middle somewhere.
We need to all do a show together sometime.
Oh my God, I'd be in a ditch about it.
How much fun would that be? We would have a ball.
We'd not stop laughing. My cheeks would hurt the entire time.
Trish and I will procure a wonderful set list of music, walk-on songs, and
lighting cues. Karen, all of us, we will be lit like the Lord. We will make it a dance party, and everybody will have a time, and everybody will be logistically on time.
No, that's right. That would be so much fun. Thank y'all so much for having me on and for doing what y'all do, because I love your podcast. I watch it. I'm so happy to see y'all on here and doing it.
Oh, thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
So fun.
Yeah, y'all, and Karen, so I don't mess it up, Karen Morgan, will you please tell everybody, we're going to put it in the show notes so they can find it, but tell everybody where they can find you on social.
All the things. My website's KarenMorgan.com, and then the socials is like at Karen Morgan Comedy. That's
Done.
Yeah.
They'll all be in the show notes, but y'all fall in love with her as much as we do. Go see her on the road because she's amazing. And we'll bring you a show. Hopefully we just put it in the universe, a show coming to you near you soon.
No, we would
all
have
of us.
so much fun. We'll go eat early dinner and then
Hey, and if we could get a matinee show and an early dinner, I think we might have a concept that's changed the world.
early dinner
I think
show.
so. All right. That's so great seeing you. Bye, Karen Morgan. We love you.
Karen Morgan. Hi, y'all.
Bye, honey.
No one can change you.